Hey, Wumbo World Entertainment, and the question is doing the rounds again. Is James Gunn and Peter Safran fired? And the word is, well, not yet, but the writing's on the wall that it's not going to be long now. Now, you can see Zack Snyder there and Ben Affleck. There's rumours of all these names circling to take over DC under Paramount. However, this story has a new twist to it regarding who wants Gunn and Safran out, because it's not from the Paramount end of things, it's from Warner Brothers themselves, which I find quite interesting, seeing as they've been pretty much silent on this, and why would you want them out right now, seeing as you're about to sell to Paramount, which is really weird. By the way, you've probably seen this story, but Paramount fires back after 11 states have filed lawsuits to try and block this merger. Now, ironically, the 11 states that have sued, they're trying to sue Paramount and Warner Brothers over this deal, are all blue states. So you're really seeing they're terrified that Paramount is just going to make Warner Brothers MAGA studios, and very much is not the case. But you can see Paramount is firing back and saying they're getting everything wrong on the facts and the law and everything else. But let's dive in to this end of things anyway regarding James Gunn, because look, when you look at the list how it's been so far, Creature Commandos, a disaster. So much so, didn't chart, and nobody even mentions it because no one even remembers that it was a thing. Superman then followed, underperformed, didn't break even, did not earn money, and got pulled out of the cinemas early, which it did. They are facts. Then Peacemaker Season 2 came out and was an unmitigated disaster. Then, of course, came Supergirl, and oh boy, it looks like it could be the worst performing superhero movie ever made, which is insane. Then, of course, Lanterns is on its way, and there's already massive backlash towards that show. Then you have Clayface, which nobody seems to really talk about at the moment. It does have the best chance of earning some money, providing what they told us about the budget is actually true. It probably isn't, but I still don't think it would be that high. So I think it does have the best possibility. And then, of course, Man of Tomorrow. And the question now is Man of Tomorrow the over and out for James Gunn and Peter Safran? Well, let's take a look at this and find out exactly what it's saying and what's happening here. So, rumours are flying on X that James Gunn and Peter Safran have already been fired from DC Studios. So, let me be clear about what my sources are actually telling me. No, they are not. They have not been fired yet. Now, obviously, the sources are for comic book or cosmic book news. They're talking about, it's their sources telling them. So, the Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery deal hasn't closed, and as of Monday, 12 states just sued to try and block it. I think that's funny though, that they've sued. And what they're saying from Paramount's end of things is, it's not the case of that they have a possibility of winning this. They're just slowing it down, and they're actually going to cost some jobs, and that's what they're calling them out on. So, it says here, but I'm told that once this deal closes, and it will, it's over. The Paramount board wants both of them out as soon as possible. Their contracts will not be renewed, and, as one source puts it, there is blood in the water. It's open season on Gunn and Safran, especially Gunn, as it's coming from the top of Warner Brothers Discovery itself. So before we get into it, Cosmic Book News publishes this that's just talking about them getting screwed over. Don't know if you've seen that story, but they put out the story about Hal Jordan being killed off in the first episode of Lanterns, and Warner Brothers and HBO Max start striking their channels like the X accounts and Facebooks and all. Not because they released clips or images or anything, because they were claiming the word spoiler was copyrighted. It's not, but whatever. So, it's saying the receipts. Last October, we exclusively revealed that James Gunn would be out at DC Studios once the Paramount Warner Brothers deal happened. So the usual Access Media suspects rushed to debunk it, including scooper Jeff Snyder, who declared the whole thing simply doesn't exist and insisted that Paramount acquisition of Warner Brothers had already fallen apart. Well, he got that very wrong, didn't he? Following my report, Gunn himself ran to his shill YouTubers and Bloomberg in a desperate attempt to save his job. Then in December, when Netflix briefly won the bidding war, the same crowd took victory laps. Gunn and Safran locked in. Contracts extended into spring 2027. Nothing to see here, except Paramount came back and outbid Netflix at $110 billion. Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders approved the deal on April 23rd, and the deal, backed by a personal guarantee from Larry Ellison, was expected to close within weeks. Exactly as I told you. So, again, this is the Cosmic Book talking about that. And about those contracts, Gunn and Safran got an extension after the Superman, or as one source calls it, Domestic Man, debacle. And the Hollywood Reporter noted just last week that the deals expire at the end of 2026 or the end of 2027. My sources say flatly they will not be renewed. Bet your house on it. So Warner Brothers film co-head Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi just got their contracts renewed. They are safe with the Ellisons coming in, and I'm told that once the merger closes, they get the whole thing with DC under their complete umbrella. Which, that's not a great thing. That really isn't, because Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi have been there with the disasters from DC. Not just James Gunn, but before that. And it's like, yeah, those two don't seem to really understand the DCU either, so I don't know whether that's a good thing. So remember last year's trade stories putting DeLuca and Abdi under fire amid Warner Brothers flops? My sources say that campaign came out of DC Studios. The same playbook Jeff Johns ran back in the day, slipping rumours to the trades against Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan, and his own co-heads Diane Nielsen and Greg Silverman. And DeLuca and Abdi know exactly where those stories came from. Now it's payback time. Recall that DeLuca and Abdi already had a plan to salvage DC before Gunn torched it. Black Adam vs Superman, Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3, and a Man of Steel 2 developed by Christopher McQuarrie and Henry Cavill that featured Green Lantern. The original, by the way, none of that sounds like it could have worked. Like, that's the thing. They may have wanted to do all that, but there was no guarantee any of it was going to work. Like, Black Adam was a bomb. So just saying, oh, Black Adam versus Superman, it's not really going to get asses into seats. Wonder Woman 3, okay. Problem you had was Patty Jenkins was going to write it as well as direct it. And we saw what kind of disaster happens when she writes and directs with Wonder Woman 2. And Man of Steel 2, under Christopher McQuarrie, that's the only thing that may have worked. So the original cuts of The Flash and Aquaman 2 featured Ben Affleck and pointed to the future, with Batgirl following The Flash and leading into Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton, and internal talks with Zack Snyder were about The Dark Knight Returns as the wrap up to that universe. Gunn scrapped the footage and oversaw the reshoots. Recall also what I told you about the real ending of The Flash under DeLuca, nixed by Gunn and Safran because they had David Zaslav's ear. So this is all just going blah blah blah, so it was all kind of let's just do this and do that. They're talking now about who could actually be brought in to save it. So you're seeing here, open for business, Snyder, Affleck and McQuarrie and Jenkins. So the Luke and Abdi are already talking big pitches, are taking big pitches. I'm told Zack Snyder, Matt Reeves, Ben Affleck, Christopher McQuarrie and Patty Jenkins have all been approached to submit specs and pitches. Now, first of all, Snyder, wrong choice completely. Matt Reeves, we've only seen him operate in one Batman movie. We don't know whether or not he would be qualified. Probably not. Ben Affleck, again, not qualified to run a studio. Christopher McQuarrie, possibly, but I think he's more suited to just being a director. And Patty Jenkins, no. Let's just say no. So, as one source bluntly put it, no goofy stuff, real stuff like Dark Knight, the Snyderverse and Wonder Woman. That lines up with what I previously reported. Snyder has been approached about a Snyderverse return, backed by his Saudi friends, the same money backing the Paramount Warner Brothers deal, blah blah blah. Snyder's not coming back. You're not getting the return of the Snyderverse as much as they would love for that to happen. But the writing is on the wall. Look, all of this stuff about Ben Affleck and Christopher McQuarrie and stuff being approached, probably not. But the writing is on the wall that Peter Safran and James Gunn are out. That come Man of Tomorrow, it's gonna be told, oh, we just decided not to renew their contracts. They are pretty much going to do to James Gunn what James Gunn to Henry Cavill, where it's going to be, but you never had a contract. Don't know what you're talking about. I think they're going to do that to him. But what do you guys think? Do you think the blood is in the water? Do you think there's any validity to the idea that the likes of Ben Affleck or Zack Snyder or Patty Jenkins or something could take over DC? Where do you think is going to happen? What do you think the future holds for DC? And who would you like to see take over? Let me know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and all of that good stuff. Cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.